name is Yao from Elder Services of Worcester. This is
Tegan.
We're both from Elder Services of Worcester, the Tech Connect program. And this is the first of a 4-week class curriculum just to teach you the basics about your phone, phone safety, and just get you a better understanding of the different features that are in your small devices. Raise of hands of anybody who feels like they have a good grasp on their devices. Just raise your hand if you feel like it. Raise your hand if you feel like you have a good grasp on your device, like you understand how to navigate your phone for what you use it for. No? Okay.
That's why I'm here.
Is there anything in particular that you guys are looking to learn?
Everything.
Everything? Okay. So we'll do our best to cover everything, especially in this class. We'll go over the very basics of your device, the fundamentals. That way, when you walk away from today's class, you'd be able to know where certain things are should you need them, and the most essential things at least. So we'll start with the phone overview. We'll discuss the home screen, gestures, the settings button, which is one of the most important buttons on your device, apps, and then also just the phone feature and dialing calls, making voicemails, things like that. Smartphones versus phones. Smartphones today encapsulate a wide number of devices in a small 6-inch screen. Knowing what is available on your devices is more important than knowing how to use them, since the latter cannot happen without the former. So it's not important that you know every single feature in your phone, but it's good to know that what you have on your phone in case you're wondering if a feature is available, you'll be able to access it. These phone buttons, you can follow along also with the handout that we provided. They follow the slides as well. So powering on and off the phone, that's going to be typically it's on a side button with both Android and iPhone. There'll be a side button that's mainly used for powering on and off the phone. Typically nowadays for prevention, because back in the day, if you just had the side button like this, if you had this side button by itself, sometimes it might mash against your pocket, and then you may accidentally shut off your phone. So as a safety precaution, they'll have you press the power button as well as the down button on your volume to actually turn off or turn on your phone. And so typically it's a combination of the two. Some iPhones have the volume button on this side, so you just mash the power button and the volume button on the opposite side in order to bring up the power.
To turn off the phone, we have to press both buttons.
Say it again?
To turn off the phone,
Yeah.
we have to do both buttons.
Both buttons, yeah.
Volume down and click.
And the power button, yep.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. It'll bring up a few settings like power on or off, as well as restart your phone. So that menu will come up when you press those buttons together. But if you just do the side button by itself, it'll put your phone on sleep mode, which is when the screen just darkens so you don't waste any battery, which is good. In general, that's the default mode your phone should be in. You don't have to turn your phone off every single time you're not using it, just so that you can receive phone calls as well. For iPhones, they also have an additional button, a silent or mute switch, which is a little slider on the top of the volume button. If you switch it on, it'll completely mute your phone. So some people may have issues receiving phone calls and thinking, the phone's not ringing. A lot of times it could be the slider is on for the mute or silent switch, and you'll know that when it's showing orange underneath the slider. So as you can see, or as best as you can with the photo there, the slider is showing the orange bar, which tells you that the phone is on silent or mute mode. And so all incoming phone calls are just going to be muted, and so you won't even hear them coming.
And it's important to know that there's normally two types of phones when we talk about iPhones versus Android. So iPhones are manufactured by Apple. iPhones usually are the only ones that have the silent and mute switch. A lot of time the Androids do not. And there are a few differences between where the buttons might be located. or what they look like. It just depends on who the manufacturer is. So when we talk about iPhone and Android, that's just the difference. But what we go over covers both types of phones.
So with the Androids, they have, this is not just exclusive to Androids, you can bring this up with iPhones as well, like just having buttons. But this is the general layout of the buttons and what they need. The triangle, the sideways triangle that points like a left arrow, that typically represents a back button. So whatever page you're in, you'll go into the previous page using that button. The circle button typically means home. And so when you press that, it'll bring you to your home screen, which we'll discuss in the next slide. And then the square will bring up your recent apps. So that'll show you every app that you've opened up. It's good to typically check that because if you find that your phone is draining battery fast, there could be a lot of apps on the background that are running while your phone is idle, and that can drain your battery.
Yeah, and typically in iPhones, you use a swiping feature. That's how you navigate the phone. But nowadays in the settings, you can go and change it. So if you were more comfortable swiping, whether or not you have an iPhone or an Android, you could select to use the swiping. Or if you were more comfortable using the 3 buttons at the bottom of the screen, you could choose to do that on either phone.
Any questions?
I don't see the buttons that you're talking about on the iPhone, and I have an iPhone and an Apple. I don't see those two buttons there.
Yeah, so normally if you have an iPhone, the default is the swiping feature. If you want to change it to the buttons, what you would do is you go into the settings, and there's a way you can change it to use the 3 buttons, which we go over the settings in a couple of slides.
Yeah. So now we'll go into the home screen. This should be the most important screen of your phone. Ideally, depending on how many apps you use, this may be the only screen that you'll need if you configure it in the right way. So the home screen is the main screen you see when you unlock your phone. It contains apps, icons, widgets, and shortcuts to your favorite apps. And we'll discuss what each of those are. Icons, they represent the apps that you use. So as you can see here, you can see the FaceTime, you can see the calendar, photos, camera. Those are all icons that when you click them, they open up to the apps that correspond to them. Widgets are a little bit different. Widgets are a feature that allows you to view information and apps and app features to be readily available on your homepage. So some examples of useful widgets are the weather, reminder, music app, email text summaries, calendar, help apps, and more. So a good side-by-side example. So this is a calendar widget, and this is a calendar app. Does anything stick out as far as the difference between the two immediately? You can say anything.
Bigger.
Bigger?
The weather is bigger.
The weather's bigger? Yep, exactly. So widgets, they usually take up a larger dimension. Icons are typically a 1x1 dimension. Widgets can be 2x4 like the weather, or they can even be 2x2 like the calendar. The goal of the widgets are just to convey a little bit more information than you would get by clicking the app, by clicking the app and then having to go to the app to view it. In this case with this widget, you can go to your homepage, turn your phone on, go to your homepage, and you'll immediately see the 7-day forecast. So now you don't have to always go into the weather app to go see the forecast. It's readily available on your phone. Same case with the calendar widget. You can see it already shows a snapshot of what your day is going to look like. It has gym here from 10 to 11:30 and then lunch from 12 to 1. So by having the calendar widget there, you can get a sneak peek on what your schedule is looking like. That way you don't have to jump into your app in order to open it up every single time. So that's how widgets can be very useful and also save you a bit of time when it comes to navigating your phone.
And you can customize the home screen however you want. You can change whatever you want. You can choose to have widgets. You can choose not to. It's all up to your choice. Between iPhones and Androids, they normally have apps at the very bottom. And those are normally the most important apps. So like in this example, it shows the phone app, Safari, which is an internet browser, messages, and then music in this one. That, if you were to swipe to a different screen, those apps would stay right there because they're the most important. So that's one thing to keep in mind too.
So these should ideally be your most important apps, these 4 buttons here.
Is that customized or?
Yes.
Everything on the homepage is customizable. And that's why ideally it could be your one-stop shop. You won't even have to navigate the rest of your phone if you configure it in a way that allows you to use all your apps on your phone.
Because a lot of times you have more apps that can fit on the home screen, so it creates separate screens and you can swipe to get to that. That's what I was saying with those apps on the bottom, even if you swipe over, those apps will stay there. But you can customize it however you choose to. You can also add folders where you can group certain apps together and it creates a folder. So if you were to click on the folder, it could store all the apps in that one folder.
Any questions? All right, now on to gestures. This is going to be on the very last page. So if you want to see what the different gestures are. This is the most fundamental way of interacting with your devices, and it's pretty universal with most touch screen devices. The different touch actions will cause your device to react in predictable ways once you understand what they are. So a huge issue that a lot of people are having when it comes to their devices is that they're expecting their phone to respond a certain way, but then it's not responding the way that they intend. A lot of times that has to do with the type of gesture that's being inputted. And so hopefully after your explanation of what these gestures are, it'll show you what will happen when you do one of the gestures to the phone. And so when you see a certain response, you'll know, oh, this is why maybe I held the app too long, and now I see the menu come up instead of getting into the app.
What's the blue button down there? Is that?
Oh, it's a cosmetic thing. It's just like to make the presentation look fancy. Yeah.
I don't see these gestures on my phone.
Oh, they're going to be on the last page of this. Yeah, so you could.
Gestures aren't on the phone, it's how you use the phone.
Yeah.
So a gesture, for example, is a tap to open up an app. It's how you actually use the phone and navigate the phone.
Right. Oh, did you have a question?
No.
Okay. But yes, so it'll be, if you want to follow along, it'll be on the last page of the guide that we handed. But the first one, like Tegan said, is a tap. So that responds, if you're familiar with computers, that's similar to a left mouse click. It's like your action button or the typical action response that you'll get. The tap is just briefly touching the screen with a single finger. It's the most fundamental way of interacting with your device. It allows you to open an app, enter a button. If you tap the button, it allows you to do the response that the button is asking of you. Like, let's say it's a login button. If you tap it, you'll log in. Or if it says continue and you tap it, you'll continue. Touch and hold, that's more like a right click on the mouse, on the computer mouse.
Which one is it? Touch and hold.
Touch and hold is.
On this one, it's the second one.
This one here. So you can, oh, actually that's a double tap. This is more of the touch and hold. So you see how it's like about a second, it's staying down. That's like a touch and hold right there. A tap would just be a quick tap. It won't be longer than half a second, or maybe even less. The touch and hold will be, you'll hold it down, and then you usually see a menu when you touch and hold, because similar to the right click button, it'll show you your options that you can do with a button or an app should you press it. So those are two of the fundamental ones. This one is a double tap, which depending on what app you're using, it can be used to like quickly zoom in or zoom out. That can vary based on where you're using the gesture or just where you're using the gesture. The swipe is moving your finger horizontally across your phone screen. This is a navigational gesture, and it's universal with just navigation on all phones. Swiping will allow you to move between pages. It'll allow you to just navigate through apps if the app has that feature. If you're using a reading app, you'll swipe to change the page. Some apps will have menus, and then if you swipe, you'll move along the menu or chronologically. So a swipe is a universal gesture. Same thing with a scroll. That's the opposite. Swipe is horizontal. A scroll is vertical. So this gesture here will allow you to navigate, but typically it's to read like long form text, or if there's like video apps that just have like a sort of endless scroll feature, then you'll just keep using that feature in order to go on to the next video. And then we have like the zoom or pinch. This is the most important thing. Everything that we've mentioned so far was the use of one finger. So now when you introduce another finger, that will change how your phone responds to your actions. So if you use two fingers and rotate like this, you'll be able to rotate a screen or rotate a picture at times. So doing this gesture will allow you to do that. You can pinch to zoom out or spread to zoom in. So these gestures are pretty universal to anything that usually requires reading. Those will be there. Even scrolling with two fingers has a different response from scrolling with one finger. So if you try scrolling with two fingers, sometimes it'll be a larger scroll. It'll, well, not a larger scroll, but at least for my phone, if I scroll with two fingers, it'll allow me to scroll between pages, but then I'll be able to customize my page on my phone. So if I did it with one finger, I would just go to the page without any customizing feature. So.
Can you tell me about this number down, it goes like this?
Yes.
How do we?
So that's.
Why?
That's to rotate. So let's say you have a picture and it's upside down and you want to see it better. You'll pinch and then it'll rotate it.
Okay.
Yeah, in the direction that you're turning it.
Oh,
Mm.
thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, gestures are very important because it's how you use the phone. There are no manuals really. When you first get the phone, it doesn't tell you what the gestures are. You're just kind of expected to know it, which can be an issue for a lot of people. So that's why it's important to know as many as you can. It's just very important. And another big thing is when you use an example of to customize your home screen, that you can do that by using your gestures. Say you would tap it and hold it, whatever app you want to move, and then you would drag it using your finger to the place where you want to go. So that would just be an example of using a gesture to customize the home screen. And the phones can also be very sensitive, so you have to make sure you're being careful of how you use your finger, because you can end up doing something you don't want to do.
Mm. Let's say you do have like certain mobility issues, or like when you tap on your phone, you can't get your finger off quickly. There's different settings that we can use in order to help change what a gesture response is, and we'll go over that a little bit in accessibility. But for now, we'll go into settings. It allows you to control every aspect of your phone. So it includes phone accounts, Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or hotspot, notification, accessibility, and also you can retrieve your phone information as well as your phone number, which could be helpful if you're doing any customer service or over the phone.
And this is an example of an iPhone, what the settings look like. The settings on an Android looks a little different. It might just be a different layout. Some of them might have different names for the same thing, but they all have, between both phones, they all have the same features.
Mm-hmm. And they're grouped the same as far as, at least with the Samsungs and iPhones, they're grouped similarly, but Androids have various different models, so they could vary, but for the most part, yeah, they're going to be the same features.
It's the same thing, they might just look a little different.
Exactly. So the first area would typically be like your phone account settings. This will contain information about your Apple account for an iPhone. It could contain Google information for an Android. This is your profile for your phone and contains login details, payment information if you use the App Store, subscription info, and more. The next area is typically the connections area. This contains everything pertaining to external connections to devices, such as Wi-Fi, so connected to a router to get Wi-Fi, Bluetooth connecting to other devices for, let's say, headphone pairing, wireless headphones, AirDrop for iPhones to exchange information between phones, and then more connections. Hotspot as well to broadcast your own Wi-Fi connection out. All of those features will be featured under the connections area. The third area would be sounds, notification, and phone routines. The first two allow you to configure what you see on your phone. The phone routine allows your phone to act in a predictable schedule. So you can set it to be silent while you're sleeping, and then turn the ringer on when you wake up. So it's useful to have if you're somebody who, for some reason, gets phone calls after 11 o'clock. Having a phone routine will help you to not be awakened by those.
So that's what you would use instead of the button on the right, on the left to be.
Yes.
Either or.
The button, I would say that's more of a in the moment you want to switch it on. Like, let's say you know you're walking into a doctor's office or you know you're walking into a meeting. That's when you most likely want to use that. The routines is more of if you just don't want your phone on at night. I'd recommend using the routine. That way in the morning it will ring, so you will still receive phone calls, whereas the silence will turn it off until you turn it back on. And that could be including text messages, yes.
It is, not all notifications. And another thing to note too is a lot of phones, they have something called like a quick settings. So for iPhones, for example, if you take your finger from the top and swipe down, a lot of times it will open a quick settings feature. Will show you like usually the first section, it'll show you the airplane mode, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and it allows you to control without some of the settings without actually going into the settings app.
Yep.
Another feature a lot of them have is the flashlight feature to turn that on. And going off the silent, there's also a do not disturb feature that you can have on it, which also can mute or silence notifications.
Mm-hmm.
Where can we get that? Do not disturb.
So like I said, normally in the settings, you can click through. It's normally in the notifications category, or you could also go into that quick settings, and usually they have like a little icon for do not disturb, and if you tap on that, it activates it and do not disturb is on.
Yep.
That's normally the easiest way to do it, but if you don't know how to get to it, you can just go through the settings and through the notifications.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to remember to turn it off if you want to receive notifications, because it's not set on a timer or anything, it's just until you turn it back on.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And so once again, the quick settings, you'll go up from the top of the screen and swipe down. That'll bring that up, and that's where you can access those quick.
Quick setting will bring it. That will bring, if I swipe it down, it will bring the quick setting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
On some phones, sometimes you have to swipe from the bottom. It all depends on what
Yeah.
type
Okay.
of phone it is.
Yeah.
I think the majority of them, it's from the top, but it could depend on what type of
How
phone
do I
you have.
turn it off? Just
You just swipe back down, swipe in the opposite direction.
Mhm.
So with the notification and sound on my phone, as it is there, it's red. Does that mean it's off and I need to turn it on?
No, that's just the icon. That's just how the icon looks. Once you go into the notification settings, then it'll allow you more options to customize your notifications.
They just have it color coded. It's not, it doesn't mean anything. It's more just an aesthetic thing
Mhm.
that they put in.
And then the last area is typically the about phone or general phone information. This provides you just the general information about your phone, model number, software version, serial numbers, all good stuff. Let's say if you get stuck and need customer service, knowing where to access that can save you some time because it'll allow like your phone provider to see a lot more information on your device based on the information you can provide them from that section. So, any other questions?
So under accessibility, where it's phone numbers and phone information, that actually puts you in touch with?
No, that just shows you your phone information, but it's useful to have when you do get in touch with those tech support people, because then they'll be able to know more about your phone based on the information there.
Yeah, if you're doing it,
Sorry, go ahead.
so if you're doing something over the phone with Verizon or whoever your service provider is, or if you're doing something online, a lot of times they might ask for something called like an IMEI number. It's basically a number that lets them know what type of phone it is. That can be found in that setting. So you normally wouldn't have to go into that setting, but just in case you'd have to, it's just.
But how do I get to that?
It'll be down towards the bottom. It should say about phone.
Yeah, on Androids, it's at the very bottom. On iPhones, there's a setting called General. That's a category. So if you clicked on General, normally once you get into that at the bottom, it shows about phone, or it might even give you just the phone number and phone information.
All right, and now onto accessibility settings, which is definitely useful in just being able to utilize your phone in the way that best helps you. Some accessibility settings include a magnifier for if you have vision impairment. It allows you to use your finger to drag and hold to see text a lot closer. You can increase the text size of your phone in general through the accessibility settings.
I think it's font size too. It changes apps, like all sizes.
Oh, yep. So it changes it throughout all apps, and then it changes the font size as well. So definitely useful. You could even make it a little bolder if that's an issue as well.
Yeah, that's normally the most common one. I've seen all types of people use it, because a lot of times, especially in like text messages, for example, the letters can be really small. So if you were to change that setting, you could increase the font size, and the whole display will be larger.
Yep.
How do I get there?
So accessibility, this is a category within the settings. So between iPhones and Androids, it's both called accessibility. So it's a category. If you were to tap on that, this is basically what it would look like.
What is voiceover?
VoiceOver, that will have your screen read out what is happening on your screen. So it's good for people who have vision impairment. It'll start to read out like the app names, and then you'll be able to use like certain gestures to access it. It's different from the typical ones that we explained before. Like, and actually we'll have a gentleman from the Mass Association of the Blind and Visually Impaired come in to give some more information about like VoiceOver and then other visual accessibility settings. But in his case, he can double tap once they're reading out the names of the app, and then that'll give him access to the app. And then it'll read out from there what the app is.
Is there anything for hearing impaired?
There are some functions. A lot of them are mainly when it comes to the phone itself, like making phone calls.
Okay.
But they aren't as great as using like an external device. So like if you had hearing aids that connect via Bluetooth, that's a great way of being able to hear like what's going on. Or if you pair it with like a screen reader, like you'll be able to hear. Screen reader and VoiceOver are pretty much the same thing. You'll be able to hear what's on your phone.
So you would be able to read and hear?
Yeah.
The screen reader?
Yes.
So that's helpful.
Yes.
Yeah, there are quite a few hearing like settings that can improve it. Not all of them are great though, because A lot of the accessibility settings, they're new, so they're still being worked on and they're still being updated. So some of them do have some flaws, but there are some stuff out there that can help.
Yeah. Okay, most iPhones, at least the modern ones, they have like real-time text, which is a feature when you call somebody, it'll allow them to text back a response. That way you can read it instead of having to hear them on the phone. And so then you can still communicate. You'll, if you had a hearing impairment, you'll be able to talk and then this person will text you back, which is a little bit of a delayed conversation, but it removes the fact that you have to have a middleman, which typically happens without that communication. You'll have to get a relay, and then that person in the middle will exchange the information between you two. So,
It's good.
but there are also apps that are pretty good that use AI that can like that'll be able to take somebody's voice and then translate it in real time for somebody to read on the opposite end, and then that creates a more fluid conversation. So if you have questions on that, definitely let us know. And that's one thing about us. Although we do this class, we also do one-on-one support. So if you have any issues with your devices at all, feel free to let us know and we'll put in a referral, and then we can make home visits and help out with whatever device issues. That can extend from your television, your computer, whatever device you have. If you're looking for some way to make it easier for you, or that's where we come in as Tegan.
How do we make that appointment?
Say it again.
How would we make that appointment or request? Do we hear?
You can through here. Yeah, you if you let Renee know, she'll get in contact with us. Or you can reach out to us while we're in the classes. We'll be able to schedule something.
Elder Services also has a number, which
Yeah.
that'll get displayed on the screen
Yes.
at the very end.
Having the number is better.
Yeah, we'll have that up there. Then there's also subtitles, which also helps with hearing impairment. Vibration is a very essential one. Also, there's vibration with flashing for when your phone goes off and you have a hearing impairment. That way you have a visual aid to know when your phone is ringing. There are touch accommodations for those who have mobility issues that will allow you, like I mentioned before, that you can change gestures to best suit you. So if you're somebody who has a delayed response when you're pressing a button, now when you tap and hold, it'll just respond as a tap. And so now you'll be able to access apps as you generally would. And then assistive touch, which would be an external device that you would attach to your phone to help navigate it. Some cases they have like a resting pad where you're able to like roll your head and navigate the phone that way. There's like mouth devices which allow you to navigate using your tongue. So depending on the different mobility issue, you can add an assistive touch to your device to help you navigate as well. So there's tons of different features depending on your need. All right, now on to apps. So that's the page after. Apps, which is short for applications or programs that can be run on your phones or other devices. They're typically made by individual companies, so they're typically not made by your phone manufacturer. So iPhone, like if you download the Facebook app on your iPhone, you're not getting it from Apple. Facebook is by Facebook's company, which is Meta.
Can you repeat it? App stands for what?
App stands for application.
Application.
Mhm.
Only application.
Say again?
Only application?
Only application, yep. So, so these apps are made by individual companies and offered through the App Store or on iPhones and Google Play for Androids, sometimes the Samsung Store as well. We'll go into apps in more detail with next week's class, but just some different apps include lifestyle apps, social media apps, utility apps, game and entertainment, productivity apps, and news apps. These categories are interchangeable or can be combined. So Yeah, a lifestyle app may also include some productivity features as well as news features. They're not completely isolated in the categories that they're in. Example of lifestyle apps, like they are used to help give inspiration or further something pertaining to your own lifestyle. There's tons of traveling apps, health apps to help you monitor your health. Show of hands, how many people use MyChart on their phones? No? Have you heard of MyChart? And that's a very useful feature to have, just because you'll have your own information readily available on your phone, but then you'll also be able to communicate with your doctor a lot easier and immediate too, because sometimes, you know, your doctor may not be available when you call. They might be busy with a patient, but you can send them a message saying, hey, you know, I'm feeling some aches here. Do you mind, if you have a moment, would you mind seeing me? Or do you have any, they'll ask further questions to try to get a diagnosis. So MyChart is a very useful feature to have, and I'd recommend if you guys are interested to.
The response is much faster.
Say it again?
The response is faster.
Right, yes. It's a lot faster. So I'd highly recommend, if you'd like us to help you to get MyChart on your phone, absolutely, we'd love to help you with that. Any questions on apps? Again, we'll go into detail on apps.
I have a question. So
Yeah.
all these different kind of apps, do we have to pay for it?
Some apps you do, some apps are free, and then have features that are behind paywalls. So it depends on the app, and we'll talk about the different like ways apps get or make money. That way, you know what to look for when you're downloading the app. But when the app says free on the App Store, you can download it immediately without having any cost.
Yeah, almost all apps are free to download. If it wasn't free, it would let you know if there'd be a payment. There'd be a price tag on it, basically. So you would know if it's not free.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always get messages on my phone about, say, your phone is running out of memory or whatever, and if you go there, then you have to sign up for something and then there's a fee. How does?
You have an iPhone?
I do.
What it's likely saying is iPhones have something called iCloud, which is it's their own storage for pictures, videos, any downloads you might have. And when you purchase the phone, it comes with, I believe, 5 gigabytes. And then eventually that fills up pretty quick, so that's probably what that notification is. It's not actually something you have to worry about. So what iCloud does is if you would ever lose that phone, or if it got stolen, iCloud stores all the information, all the pictures, all the data. So if you were to get a new phone and you were to sign into that account, it would have everything that you have saved in the iCloud. So the iCloud has the first 5 gigabytes on your phone saved, so that's saved, but any pictures that you take after that 5 gigabytes, it won't be saved. So if that phone gets stolen, you'll have lost that picture. So what they do is they offer a subscription. If you pay Apple, they will increase the amount of storage that you have in the iCloud.
But if I don't want to do that,
Then you don't have to worry about it. It's not an issue. Apple's just letting you know that that's what's happening, but you don't have to get the subscription. You can just choose to leave it alone.
but if I leave it alone, what happens to what I've already taken? And what happens if I want to add what? I will not be able to, is that right?
No, so you can still take pictures, you can still have stuff on the phone, but after that 5 gigabytes, like I said, so if you lost that phone or if it got stolen, it wouldn't be saved if you were to get a new phone. But if you were to, if you still had the phone and you got a new phone, you could transfer everything you have because it's actually there with you. So the iCloud Plus, that's what the subscription is called. That's just in case the phone gets lost or stolen.
Is that something you recommend?
For me, no. If you have a lot of pictures that are really important to you and you're fearful that you might misplace your phone and lose it, or if it gets stolen, then that's something you'd want. But if you don't really have any fears of your phone getting lost or stolen, or you don't have a lot of pictures that you don't mind losing, or it might be stored in a different place, then it's not something you have
5
to do.
gigabytes, and that means nothing to me. Is it a mile?
It's just how it's measured. You don't really have to know what it means. Once it gets filled up, it'll let you know. 5 gigabytes nowadays isn't that much.
It's a
If
lot
if
of
you,
pictures though, like
Yeah.
to get to that, off of pictures, you're talking thousands and thousands of pictures to fill up 5 gigabytes.
and the phone would let you know when it fills up. But if you did want to get the subscription, I believe it's $1 a month. So it's not super expensive. So if it's something you wanted to do, you definitely could. But it's not something you have to do.
So would it help at all if you were to delete some of the pictures that you perhaps
Yes.
don't want or don't
Yes.
care about? Would
Yeah.
that make a difference?
Yes.
Yes, it would. Pictures, videos, downloads. iCloud encapsulates a lot of different things. It's not just pictures. But if you did delete that, that would take it away and lower the storage.
Mhm. And then you'll be able to also go into your settings and see how much storage you're taking up. Typically, when you hit the notification, it'll bring you to your storage and then show you what percentage of your storage is being held up with whatever.
But it's important to note too that iCloud storage is different from the actual phone storage. iCloud is the stuff you store like pictures, but phone storage is more the apps. Phone storage almost never gets taken up because there's just so much phone storage.
Mhm.
So that's nothing you have to ever really worry about.
Yeah, and that's why you can still take pictures even after your 5 gigabytes are up. You still have tons of phone storage to save your photos onto, so you
Yeah.
don't have to worry about.
Yeah, even if your iCloud gets filled up, you can still take another 1,000 pictures.
Right.
You still have the
That's
pictures on the
problem,
phone.
because it gives the impression, when I get the message that, oh my goodness, your phone is going to shut off, you're going to do this, and this. You don't have any more space to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's a little misleading. It's a little misleading. It's more just because they want you to get the subscription. It's a way they make money.
Yeah.
But it's not something you have to ever worry about. It's never an actual problem.
So at least there is a possibility of losing, and so you're saying you're going to lose your phone or.
Yeah, it's like a just in case thing.
That's it.
Yeah,
More insurance.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Okay.
For your data, for your
Yeah.
information. Mhm.
Yeah, and like the first 5 gigabytes is the free trial if you want to look at it, do that.
Mhm.
Anything past that you'd have to pay for.
And then lastly, we'll go into the phone app, just to just let you know about certain settings. So making and receiving phone calls, we have the guides on the handout here, where you open the phone app and then tap the keypad at the bottom. Typically, the bottom is where you can navigate to most of the phone functions. So over there, you can see the keypad, which brings you to the keypad page, which allows you to start typing a phone number, and then you'll tap the green call button to make that phone call. And then during a phone call, you have various settings. You can add a phone call, which allows you to dial another number to join in your conversation. You can text somebody while you're on the phone. There's a message button to send a text to either a person or somebody else. Bluetooth, which if you're on your phone, if you're in your car, that may be paired to your car at that point. If you have that setting available, you can switch it to so that it's on your Bluetooth device, or you can take it off of it and put it on speaker, and then speaker allows you to play it over the loudspeaker on your phone. It sometimes diminishes the audio quality to the other party, so if you have phone issues, taking it off speaker can help improve the phone quality a lot, or the audio quality. Mute silences your end of the conversation, so it's great when you need to talk to somebody in real time, in person, while you're on the phone with somebody else. You can quickly mute your conversation on the phone, say what you need to say, unmute, and then continue the conversation. And then while you're on a phone call, there's a keypad button as well that allow you to access the keypad in order to respond to a lot of automated prompts. So like sometimes you'll get a prompt telling you for English, press 1, for Spanish, press 2. You'll open up the keypad again. That way you'll be able to respond to those automated prompts.
And the main point too is you can be doing something else on your phone while on a phone call, A lot of people are worried if they accidentally swipe out of the phone app or they go into another app that somehow cancels the call, but that it doesn't. You're still on the phone call, you can still talk to the person, and you can multitask basically. The only way to end the phone call is if you press the red button to end it, or if the other person presses the button to end it.
Yes. Yep.
How do you, if I'm on phone with somebody and somebody else calls, so how do I do the mute and then respond?
You won't have to mute it.
That's a different feature. So when you're in a phone call and someone else calls you, a new screen pops up and it gives you different options. A lot of times it's like accept and hold or hold and so you can put one person on hold, accept the other call, or decline it. It gives you more options because it recognizes that you're.
I use the previous one, right?
No.
It depending on what you press, you could. So if you were to press like and accept this phone call and end that phone call, so it gives you different options. You just have to read them and make sure you select the one that you want to, because the phone recognizes that you're in a phone call already, so it gives you a different set of options versus when you just get a normal phone call.
Thank you.
But your phone can hold multiple lines. Typically, like same like a landline phone, how you can switch different lines. Your cell phone does the same thing, and so when you accept and hold, then you create another line, and that person's on hold.
You would just have to select the button to do that, which it will show you on the screen like a normal phone call.
Right. Great question.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, so now voicemail. Sometimes this could be tricky to set up, but once you have it set up, I think it's a very, very important feature to have. That way you can get messages after somebody has failed to reach you. You'll go into your keypad. Typically, there's a voicemail button on the bottom right once it's set up. And if you don't see it, you can also access the audio voicemail by holding down the one button on most devices. A lot of times they'll have the logo on there, and sometimes it's just implied, but that'll give you the old-fashioned like audio voicemail, which will read it out or play it out for you and ask you for different prompts to continue.
Some Androids have a voicemail app. So some phones, they have it, the voicemail would always be in the bottom right, like on an iPhone. Some Androids have a separate app for voicemail, so you'd have to, it wouldn't be in the phone app to get your voicemails. You'd have to go into a separate app and get to your voicemails through that. So it just depends on what type of phone you have.
Yep. Also, voicemails, this is important. If you have a voicemail box open, your voicemail box can only hold up to about 10 minutes of recorded time at a time. So it's very, very limited storage. So you have to make sure to delete your unwanted voicemails to keep your voicemail box open. And nowadays it allows you to archive voicemail, which if you ask me, I mean, it might as well just archive the previous ones, but you still have to manually do it. So you'll have to do a tap and hold gesture on the voicemails. That'll allow you to access an options field, which will allow you to check off the voicemails. And then there's an option to either delete them or archive them, or any other feature that you can do with those voicemails. It'll show you right at the top, so, or sometimes at the bottom. But you'll tap and hold in order to access the options instead of tapping, which does like a left click and whoop, and brings you right to the voicemail and lets you hear it. Let's see. And then saving contacts, you'll go into your phone app, you'll tap the contacts app, tab, or sometimes contacts is its own different app. You can also click that. You'll hit the plus button or add new. Then you'll enter the contact's name, their main phone number, and whatever details you'd like to store about them, you can also add onto their contact. That way, you'll be notified when they reach out to you. And then text messaging, you open the Messages app and then compose to start your text message. You'll enter a recipient's name if you have them saved as a contact. If not, you can enter their phone number and then type whatever message you want in the messaging field, and then hit send to send it. You know you received the message when you get a notification directly to your phone, or if you see if you go into your Messages app and then see a message in bold, that tells you that that's an unread message, similar to your emails. If it's bold, it's an unread email. So you'll click that to read what the contents are.
And also, some people think you have to delete your text messages, that it takes up storage. It really doesn't. Personally, I never delete text messages because there's no real reason to. A lot of times it's good to just have so you can see what the previous conversation was. But you don't have to worry about, oh, I have to delete this because it's taking up too much storage, because that's never an issue. So you can leave as many text messages as you want. You don't have to delete them or get rid of them.
Yep. And as
We
well,
have to do that with emails, right? When email comes,
Emails, it's actually the same thing. Really, if you weren't to delete, if you were not going to delete any emails, there really wouldn't be any issues. Some people just don't want thousands of emails
Yes.
sitting in there. But there really are no negatives to not deleting emails. You would just have a large inbox, but that doesn't really take up storage unless you're like saving or downloading the emails. So that's kind of the same thing.
and so within your messages, you have a few different options. You can use voice to text to send out voice messages, which is typically a little microphone button beside your messages. When you hold it down, it'll allow you to speak, and then as you're speaking, you'll see the little like the audio wave come up, showing that it's taking in what you're saying. And once you release, that'll end the recording, and then you'll be able to play it back to hear if you want to send it or not, or retake it. But then once you like it, you can send it, and that way it'll be an audio message as opposed to a text message. And you can also send emojis and GIFs. Those options are available once you tap inside the message button. It'll show you the different GIFs, or you can send pictures. All of those are available once you click inside the message, and then it'll show you the different icons right there. And then you could also do video calls through FaceTime. You'll tap the video button called New FaceTime and then enter the contact you want to call. Or you can also open a conversation in Messages to start your FaceTime call. During the call, you can use the options on the screen to switch cameras, mute the phone, or also end the call. It's same thing with WhatsApp. You can use video call there. If you have an Android, that'll be the preferred way because Androids don't have FaceTime.
So you can't FaceTime on your phone?
No.
You technically can. So iPhones, they have the actual FaceTime app. That's the easiest way to do it. But they created this new feature. It's only available on newer phones, where a person with an iPhone can send a link through a text message to a person on an Android to a FaceTime call. It doesn't always work. It can be tricky sometimes, but technically you can be on FaceTime in an Android.
You have to get a link from somebody who has FaceTime on the iPhone.
Yeah.
Is that in any way related to Zoom, or is that something that you cover here?
Zoom is an additional feature, so similar to WhatsApp or FaceTime. It's another video app feature where you can have video conversations. So yeah, that's another way that you'll be able to do it as well.
Or will that be covered in subsequent classes?
Oh yeah, we'll talk about apps tomorrow, so yeah,
Okay.
that'll be featured as well.
Yeah, the next class we go into depth about apps, how to install them, what they are, just anything you need to know about them.
And this is the end of the first class. Yeah, absolutely.